Welcome back to the GED report. It is now close to summertime, it's late May. The main thing on the schedule will be the main thing on the schedule today will be what went on at work today, because you need to know, as a student, as a middle school student going into high school, as a parent with somebody in a public school system, as somebody in the bad neighborhood, as somebody with a special education student. Maybe you're somebody wanting to go into education and teach. You really should know how some of these things work. You should have some idea how the sausage is made, because you won't believe it. You will have a hard time trying to imagine what actually goes on, because what they tell you in teacher school, what you see in the movies, what the politicians tell you, what the educrats tell you, in effect, all of them are wrong. And you know me, one of my main focus is that what you've been told is at best misinformed, a well-meaning misinformed person trying to tell you what they think is best or what they think is happening. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. And GED report, again, in 10 to 20 minutes, I'm going to explain to you what's actually going on. Just like instead of 4 years of high school, you can take a GED exam in 2 days and get a high school equivalency diploma. 2 days, 4 years, a piece of paper says you're now a graduate. Okay? So you tell me where I'm wrong in my GED metaphor here, because I don't see it. Oh, and by the way, the number of people who've asked me where I went to high school actually came to me and they brought it up is zero. And I'm in the education world where you want educated people, who know how a school's supposed to run and who can teach well, all of those things you're expecting to be in place. No one asks. No one cares. I could have a GED. No one would know. Anyway, so that's our main focus. The other one is Literacy Bootcamp number 2 is up on my Teachable site, TheFreelanceTeacher.teachable.com, and you will be able to become a better speaker and writer after doing these drills. If you follow these drills and you maintain discipline, just like everything else, you will get better. In this case, you'll be a better writer and speaker because you'll understand how English is built. You'll understand what's going on when it comes to the language itself and how to communicate in a complex yet understandable manner. And by communicate, I mean active literacy. I mean speaking and writing. So that's our sponsor. Upcoming is the second interview with Quincy Johnson, who got banned by Twitter. We've got to find out what's up with that. And Twitter, the obviously racist, megalith, monolithic, international corporatist company, censoring black people, sounds racist to me. I think it will be racist and come in that way to you too, because guess what? Quincy Johnson is a truck driver, an American, he's black, and he got suspended. And we're going to see together how many people have run to his defense, particularly those who purport to be liberal and in for social justice. My guess is that number is 0. So we'll talk to Quincy soon. That interview should be happening tomorrow. I just started Michael Malice's new book, The New Right. I will rocket through that, and I'll tell you about it. I'm listening to his interview with Joe Rogan now, and I listened to his interview with Dave Rubin. So we'll give you a picture of a movement that should not be ignored. Regardless of your beliefs or how you feel, what Malice is talking about with the new right should not be ignored, because you should not be blind when you're trying to navigate today's America, the fake America we live in now. Let me tell you a little about today. We had a half day of school, and we had a meeting, staff development they call it, in the second half of the day. The rumor in the building is, and I think I'm saying rumor because I wasn't there, but we had visits from the state Educrats, and they snapped at our administration about some of these classes that were not effective and were poorly taught. The scuttlebutt is that one of them was a special education class that had more than one person in the class. You're going to have a special education class, oftentimes, depending upon the number of special education students, there will be more than one teacher in the class. A regular, quote-unquote, general education teacher, somebody like me who is an English teacher only in terms of license, and also a special education teacher who is there to help the teacher and the students and make sure that the special education students get instruction. Well, I guess somebody with clout saw a class for what could not have been more than 10 minutes, and it wasn't effective. So listen to the response. And now anybody who's been involved with the bureaucracy will instantly see how this has become a complete and total train wreck, because the response to this is laughably bad, as in dark humor bad, because children, high school students, are going to lose, as they always do, especially in the bad neighborhood school where I work. The high school students are going to lose because of the reaction to somebody with juice, somebody with pull, somebody with clout, didn't like the 10 minutes or 11 minutes of class that that person saw. So there's a strategy out there in the Educrat world. There's an education world, just like there's I'm sure there's a world for Dungeons and Dragons and knitting, and we all know sports have their, operating in that world. Well, there's an education world too, and the establishment education world, all they do is come up with repackaged old ideas, make them sound new, maybe add some crafty language, and now they have a quote-unquote new program. So somebody came up with a program for special education students called parallel teaching. Now I want you to think about this. A special education class has some percentage from 15% to 20% to 30%, sometimes as high as 50%, whether that's illegal or not. That's what we have in our building. And ESL is the same thing, right? The same how many students you have learning a language or how many students are special ed, and these people get mainstreamed. That was the movement in the 80s to put special education students with regular ed students. That's called mainstreaming. So the public school system is generally failing miserably, and students are getting stupider, and the curriculums are getting easier, and the cell phone has only made people think only about instant gratification. So there's so many other things going on besides the collapse of school and the lack of rigor that has creeped into the system. So now you have special education students who are even less capable and more at risk and not as bright and less effective. So someone came up with a plan called parallel teaching. So you have special education students who, some of them have been given extra everything their entire career. You have more time to take the test. You can qualify for time and a half on this test. You don't have to take these exams. We have a rule where special education students can't be suspended. So you have a student who could just beat the piss out of somebody and, oh well, not much punishment or discipline going to go on for that. Why? Because of the educational classification. So what we have now is, because of this person seeing, whoever it was, seeing a class, and again, remember I said rumor, but this is how these things work in the game of school, the business of school. Someone came up with a program called parallel teaching, and so this Educrat said, you guys need to, or strongly suggested that we should incorporate parallel teaching into our special education rooms. Now, I want you to think about this. Parallel teaching is having two teachers, usually one in the front and one in the back. And they each teacher has a small group of students in front of the smart board and teaches that group. Now, anybody, I mean, I want you to think about your classrooms in the past, or if you're a student, your classroom now. If there were another teacher teaching another group of kids on the other side of the room, a so-called general education student, a regular student, as loath as I am to use the word normal, especially somebody like me, right? Kind of hypocritical for me to even say the word normal with all of my proclivities and abnormalities, but a normal student, a regular student in an American high school having another little class over there with the other teacher, in theory teaching the same thing or something related, just in a different way to make sure that the special education students get what they need, is going to be nothing except a distraction. Just think logistically. If you have a class of 25 people, it could be 20 and 5 split. It could be 13 and 12. It could be 10 and 15. It doesn't really matter. You have two things going on with no divider, not in a separate room, in the same room, teaching the topic to two groups. Parallel teaching. That's it. That's the whole program. And they're telling us, the people who rule over us and are trying to explain how to reach and teach special education students, excuse me, those people are telling us this is what we need to do to fix what's broken. Now, my school is loud, chaotic, poorly performing. I had 40% of my students fail marking period 3, and I'm usually an 80% passing guy. Something is going on. Something is wrong. Something is broken. And now to have two classes going on at one, and no divider. This is co-teaching. So there are going to be two classes going on at the same time in class. And think about how an at-risk student who is not good at concentrating and isn't able to focus in the way that a quote-unquote so-called regular student can concentrate. Now that student's got to sit in class and have another thing going on over there causing a distraction. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't think you need to be somebody like me who's been teaching for 23 and a half years to see that that's going to be a bad idea. And here's the last part that I'll share with you. They tried to sugarcoat it, but a couple of teachers, 2 or 3, pushed back pretty hard. And one of them, who, because he told such raw truth, kind of got the most pushback from administration. And he said, I work with somebody now. This is my colleague who pushed back against the presenters. And he said, I work with somebody now, and we get along, and we have a system, and things are going well. And now, because somebody saw someone else's class, we are being told this is how it's done. And he got pushback from the brass, telling him that, you got to be a better person. You're just saying some mean things, right? Don't look like that. Don't look away, right? This is they basically said you're a bad person for bringing it up and tried to shame him a little bit. And then these other 2 women who work wonderfully together and have worked together for 9 years and have a fantastic system of reaching both general education students and special ed students. They have a track record of success, and they reach difficult to reach students. Their numbers are probably as best as they can. I would hire both of these people to teach my children. And they have to change their system. Why? Because they were told to. Now, I don't know if they actually will. I work in a place where nobody's really steering the ship. So you can get away with all kinds of craziness because there's just not enough hours in the day with all the chaos to check up on everybody. But by the book, if they were following the rules, and they might, they have to scrap their successful program and now do parallel teaching. So I want you to think about this, parents, prospective teachers, junior high school students, mothers of America. I want you to think about this. You could be having a teacher or a co-teacher, you have a special education student who's going to go into one of these teachers' classes, and guess what? Because an educrat with pull saw a class for 10 minutes, if that. These people don't observe a class for more than 10 minutes. It just doesn't happen. And it didn't go well, so forget about the other 163 days and the other 250,000 minutes that I missed. These 9 minutes are going to make me now tell everybody you are going to parallel teach. And that's what the education system is all about now. Top down. Teacher relationships with other teachers, the ways teachers connect with students, the styles they use, the way they teach. I'm actually, as I've mentioned to you before, I'm actually grateful that I'm in the bad school because I don't do any of this stuff. But I'm just a regular general education teacher teaching freshmen mostly. And it's a difficult group. And I get results doing what I do. So I don't get noticed. I kind of fly under the radar, so to speak. None of those people watches my YouTube channel and the 135 videos on it or goes to Teachable website. They're oblivious to anything other than educrattery. So if you had a student or a child or you were a student and you were going to go into my school next year, your student would take a huge loss because educrats decided from the top of the pyramid, and it's a pyramid, that parallel teaching is the way to fix the problem. Based on practically nothing. That is a microcosm as to what is going on in school now. And I want you to think about that carefully. Let me be clear. A burst of information didn't go into some powerful, semi-powerful educrat's way, didn't look good, so boom, we're going to rip everything up at the roots and we're going to use this program that is research-based. Research shows that this works. That's put out there to shut you up. The other one is these are the experts. The special education experts have looked at this model and they've seen it's okay. That's a logical fallacy. So what, they're experts? The polling experts told me Hillary Clinton was going to win in 2016. The experts said Dewey was going to defeat Truman in the political arena. The experts said in 1996 the Braves in their amazing starting pitching staff were going to destroy the New York Yankees. So, I mean, you can say research-based or the experts have shown for practically anything. It doesn't guarantee anything. It guarantees nothing. It's a logical fallacy. Evidence and results are what people want, which is how you should, it's basically the main lesson you should take from me. So, this is what's going on in school now. It is educrat run. Common Core has made it so that the educational corporations make a ton of money off of failing schools like the one I work in because we always need to buy a program. And guess what? Someone is always willing to sell us a program to quote unquote fix what is a place where the scores only go down and only get worse. So I had colleagues that got upset. I said, you're missing the game. You're missing out. It's a game. It's a game of how we're going to make money. The consultants are going to come in. They're going to make a killing. We're the chumps. We actually work with students. We're the suckers. These people are going to make a mint, not deal with any students, have to do any hard work, but they're going to quote unquote coach us. And we already have good coaches. We don't need outside coaches. So this is the way it is. It's really unfortunate. It's really quite terrible. And as usual, the students are going to lose. And that's the bottom line. The educrats in democratically controlled New York, yes, it's a democratic state. We have democratic senators. We have a democratic governor. Mount Vernon has a democratic mayor, right? Democrats as far as anyone can see. And they're covering their tracks. That's why you get talked about race all the time. Why do you think you get talked to about white people all the time? Because, hey, the Democrats are going to save you, bad neighborhood people. Oh, and here comes our ambulance right on cue. I think they're coming for me. And they're covering their tracks. That's all they're doing. I'm in a cycle of failure in a politically controlled Democratic area, and all they're going to do is talk about all the things they've done to help students, like parallel teaching, and it will do nothing but hurt students. So don't get caught up in it, because this kind of educrat stuff is on the march. It's how schools are run. If you're a student, look out. If you're a parent, pay attention. And in 20 minutes and a half, I've explained to you the school business and the school game. Make sure you know the rules so you can play it well. Talk to you next time.